In Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah, we are back. Welcome to part two, Dateline Atlantic City with Sonny, and we are sailing your way tonight for shore. Yeah, we're on shore, by the way, too, Shore Cable Company, and we're also on OBC TV, and we're also on TCI of North Jersey, and we're also on Suburban Cable, and...
I used to be on TCI, but I finally shook it and been clean now for about 8 months. Never again.
Were you on Media One Radio Entertainment Network?
No, that I wasn't.
That was a tough one, right? Okay, and the 15-state Happy Talk Network. Oh yeah, and let's not forget to mention our flagship station, WMID 1340 AM, beaming it out from Atlantic City, and the entire show, as always, brought to you with oceans of love from the gaming capital of the world, the entertainment capital of the East, the boxing capital of the East, the world's famous playground once again, and the city that not only never sleeps, it doesn't even take a nap, Atlantic City, New Jersey. And as always, we invite you to come up, down, over, or around to Atlantic City to enjoy what's happening here. What has been happening is that a trio, a magnificent trio, appearing live and lively tonight on Dateline Atlantic City. It's Steve, Jayne, and Frankie, and they're all with us tonight. We're talking about three...
You remember us as the Four Preps.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right, that's it. Or the cleft tones, maybe? No, I don't know. Yeah, you've done enough. So how many? 4,300? Give me the real count on it, Steve Allen.
It's actually over 4,800 now. I don't count them.
4,800?
Yeah.
Wow.
Songs we're talking about, folks.
Yeah. Okay, I thought it was Wilt Chamberlain we were speaking about for a moment. But that's another story for another time. But more than 4,800 tunes. Composed. What was the first one? I think we might have discussed this in one of our many conversations over the years, Steve. But
well, there were little finger exercise type songs that I wrote when I was 8 or 9. They were like the exercises I was taught. But the first song I ever wrote, words and music, that was actually a song, was called Satisfied. I think I got the word because there was a Chesterfield cigarette commercial, and the guy would go, "I'm satisfied." So that's where I got the title. It was a stupid way to get a title, but you have to start someplace.
Okay, so that's where it started, and
How many books?
Evolved in 43. It's going to
Yes.
43. How did I know that?
For you.
I didn't know that. I didn't guess at that one. I knew that one.
Ah.
I know it was 42 the last time you were with me.
Mhm.
I know you have a new book coming out. It's called Reflections. I want to hear all about it. I know our listeners and viewers do as well.
Okay.
Tell us about this one, because every book that Steve has written, I haven't read every one of them. I will be honest, candid, forthright, and truthful, as I always am.
Jayne hasn't read all my books. I write too many, seriously.
I
It is
have
tough.
read them eventually, but he writes them faster than I can read them.
I can't believe this. When you talk about prolific in everything, Mr. Allen is Mr. Prolific. But the books, to write a book, I have been fortunate enough to have 4 published books, and believe me, well, it's no big deal. I'm telling you, what it takes, not just out of you, but what goes into it is unreal, unbelievable. And for Steve, so I speak with some knowledge of the subject, very little. But what Steve has done is just amazing. And every one of the books that I have read have been either entertaining or thought-provoking and pretty darn good. I have to admit that. I will say that. And this newest book is what I'm absolutely plotzing to hear about. Yeah, I'm plotzing to hear about this one. It's called Reflections.
It doesn't have any plots. It actually is no, seriously. What, seriously? Can I get serious, folks, at this time of night? No, it's called, as you've said, Reflections, Sonny. And it is nothing but a collection of philosophical observations that have occurred to me over the last 40 years or so. And this was a great book to write because I didn't have to write it. It was already written. All I had to do was look back through my old ideas that we call ideas. That's the label of the books. And we found about that thick a stack of them, and the publisher is bringing it out in about 2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks. Well, who is publishing it, incidentally?
Prometheus.
Pardon me?
Prometheus.
Oh, no question about it. God bless you.
Yeah.
But, no, Prometheus. All right. And so it's reflections of philosophical, as you just said. I'm not going to repeat it, but that's what it is. So
yeah, on
it is
life,
something.
love, politics.
Okay, so it's like
questions.
an introspective look, if you will, or an insight, a glimpse of what Steve has been contemplating for 40 years. That means that you started writing about this when you and Jayne got hitched, your child bride.
40 years
An
ago.
interesting line of speculation.
I thought so. I figured I'd advance that and further that as well. So obviously it contains some of the reflections that you experienced with Jayne as well, right? Philosophically speaking.
I suppose it must. I hadn't thought
Thanks
of
for
that.
pointing that out. I shall read it this weekend.
All right.
Okay. Before it hits the
Yes.
yeah, right. Okay. Okay. And in addition to that, we have to say that Jayne and Steve have to be, I don't know of a busier couple, not just in the entertainment field, but as many of our listeners and viewers know, they are, when it comes to doing great things for so many people. I mention it all the time, and sometimes they say, Sonny, why you keep on mentioning the same things? But when I feel something strongly, as I do about Steve and Jayne, as far as the charitable work they perform, much of it unnoticed, but they've been doing it for years and years and years. They've been together 40 years or more, and they've been doing this for years and years. But more specifically, I like to speak about the Celebrities Against Cancer, and both of them with their volunteer assistance and work to help battle that dreaded disease is just remarkable, because they don't have time to do anything, either of them. They both have careers that are unreal. And for you both to find the time to do what you do, not just for Celebrities Against Cancer, speaking about educating the public and speaking about the research that is done, it's really admirable. And I know you go anywhere and everywhere to advance that one cause, but you also do it with many humanitarian causes.
Well, I think, Sonny, thank you for that, first of all, but I think many of us in the business contribute our time and our monies and so forth and names to support many causes. Celebrities Against Cancer. I also am part of another group which is against celebrities. I think we have a lot of really crummy celebrities in modern day.
I think you get a lot of help on that one.
Get rid of some of them anyway. And I'm also trying to raise funds at the moment to provide Rogaine minoxidil to the American bald eagle. So it's not enough to just sit around in your home and stay in your pool. You got to get out and get back in.
And you've done a lot for cancer. Yes.
Frankie Randall, let me say one thing to you. You have been around, well, you know Steve for a long time, of course. Now, having worked with him rather intimately, now don't say anything, Steve, I know he's going to say, but very closely with the new album called Frankie Randall Sings Steve Allen, you've gotten even closer with him, obviously. Now, the capper, did I sound like David Brenner? I said, now, I had that same little, now, I'm from Atlantic City, so, Anthony, did that sound like David Brenner, Anthony?
Yeah.
He's Southern Philadelphia
Sounds
himself.
like Yul Brynner to me, but I could be wrong.
At any rate, what was I saying again, Jayne? I
You were
digressed.
asking Frankie about knowing
Oh yeah, Steve and Jayne, and now working with Steve and this incredible wit and talent and gift that he has. Frankie, how can you deal with this guy? He keeps you in stitches all the time.
You talk about talent. He every so often he'll ask the audience for. Well, of course he does a little segment of his act with the cards.
Absolutely,
that people write, answer questions. Which, I mean, how can you possibly know what people are going to ask? And yet he comes up night after night after night with just the great quips after each. When people ask him, but he'll take, somebody will say, well, make a song up of these 4 notes, and he'll take 4 notes and does a whole song. Or last night there was a gal by the name of Carmela Fratelli or something,
Yes.
and he did a whole song about
a whole Italian song.
Yeah, he did a whole Italian song about Carmela Fratelli. I just remark everybody that says how you having a great time working with Steve. His mind is just. It's incredible the way he can think that quick, and of course the songs he writes. I was telling him when we were on a break before that he had mentioned that Vic Damone had a little tear in his eye when he was doing the song. I went through a little tough time last year, and this album, as you know, is comprised of lots of ballads, and one of the songs that I do in Steve's show is a song entitled "The Things We Never Got to Do," and Steve sets it up so well. Well, why don't you tell them how you set it up?
I want you to set it up, because we're going to hear that right now. We have been we've been playing this album a great deal, and I'm going to make a point too. Well, let me make it right now. The first song, and Frankie, I discussed this with you. This was the song that Steve said, well, I wrote that as a ballad, and it was up tempo, okay? And he wasn't that, he didn't. He was as impressed as, I thought it was a knockout sound, and not only the sound, but the arrangement, the version of it that you did was just a knockout.
Thank you. So it's a great ballad. It's a wonderful
great
ballad.
ballad.
Well,
but
that's a song called "The Time of My Life," but the
Right.
one that Frankie was just
Yeah.
talking about, Sonny, the things we never got to do, I think says something fresh. The lyrics says something fresh. Everybody in their lifetime, and sometimes repeatedly, has seen a love affair come to the end. Whether it should or not, that's a separate question. But it's always sad. And when it happens, people often think back to the lovely aspects of the relationship that is now over, it's now broken. But what I don't think any other lyricist had ever gotten to was, in addition to losing the past that you've had together, you also lose the potential future. So that's what the song means, the things we never got to do.
Anyway, my point was that when I recorded it, when I finally put the vocals on, I was in this little dark sound booth and playing the tracks back, and I was singing along. And because of what I had been through at this particular time, I started to cry in the song. And in fact, if you listen closely, you can hear the teardrops hitting the floor.
we're going to listen closely right now. That's said as a beautiful setup by Steve. So right now we're going to send it up. It's Frankie Randall singing Steve Allen. That's the name of the album. We've gotten a tremendous response and reaction to the whole album. In fact, we played this the other night, and once again, right, Baron, everybody did. They called and loved this song. And again, we don't do that type of show per se, but when we played this, everybody really was very touched. It's a poignant song. Frankie Randall handles it beautifully, and of course, Steve Allen, the composer, one of his 4,800 or so songs. The things we never got to do. Let's listen to the teardrop falling on the studio floor.
Everyone has memories, and love brings more than its share. You and I have memories too painfully lovely to bear. But there's more reason for my sorrows, for since you're gone I'm dreaming of those ever lost tomorrows. The things we never got to do will haunt me all the long years through, my darling. The things we never got to say will haunt me every lonely day to come. The wine we never got to taste, the time we never got to waste, I remember. The plans we never got to make, the trips we never got to take, I regret. That honeymoon we dreamed about, and now we'll have to do without, I long for. Somewhere along the way, the best laid plans can go astray, it seems. So it's no wonder, precious friend, the years we never got to spend make the teardrops fall. Got to do at all. So it's no wonder, precious friend, the years we never got to spend make the teardrops fall. I wonder if you miss them too, the things we never got to do at all.
Tell you what, I think I did hear that teardrop.
Lovely
It's a
performance.
great, great
Frankie.
song, and Frankie, it was a lovely performance. Just that, Steve.
It's such good reaction to Frankie Randall sing Steve Allen that next season I'm doing another album called Joe Cocker Scream Steve Allen.
Oh, right now there's no screaming. I'll tell you what, if anybody screams now, Steve, it's going to be me. This album has really, I have to say this in front of you, unashamedly, unabashedly, whatever they say. You know, I love this. I told you this when it first came out. I got one of the first copies of this, and this, not when I'm on the air, off the air. That's when I play this as well. And as Steve Allen plays jazz tonight, and it reminds us of that's your latest, isn't it? Or you have another one coming
It's
out?
my latest of
Your
my,
latest.
my own performing. Yeah, Frankie's
And-
came out after. But
Yes,
this-
oh yes, I
his
know, but I'm
performance.
talking about your performances. And it reminds me of just what it is supposed to remind me of, a late night spot or hangout
club,
or
yeah.
a jazz club.
It's classic style jazz.
It really is, and the personnel is great, the side personnel, and Steve Allen, of course, doing it. So right now, let's catch a little snippet of Steve Allen Plays Jazz Tonight, as our listeners and viewers both know, has to be arguably maybe my favorite album of all
Wants to
time of
argue.
Steve Allen. It is, really. So let's argue about it. But right now, let's hear a little bit of Steve Allen with a great jazz ensemble with a song called, actually a classic song called Tangerine, Steve Allen style. Yeah, we're rocking and rolling. We're grooving and moving right here in Dateline, Atlantic City. Of course, the incredible talent of Steve Allen. Tremendous ensemble, jazz ensemble, and
How about this ensemble I'm wearing right now?
Not
pretty
bad. You
jazzy,
borrowed it
I'd
from
say.
Jayne again, huh? Okay. Tell you what, we're going to take a brief time out. When we return, much more madness with, I said that nice, madness instead of madness, you know? Much more. I'm very conscious of all these things because I'm next to an Emmy Award-winning Tony Award. She got them all. Okay, I got to go. We'll be right back after the brief time out. I'm Sonny. This here is Dateline Atlantic City.